6 feet tall above Birmingham, Alabama. The Vulcan statue is the city symbol and depicts the Roman god of fire. How fitting, since Vulcan presides not far from Barber Motorsports Park, where the Izod Indycar's hottest driver, Will Power, goes for 3 wins in a row. Opened in 2003, Barber Motorsports Park is a masterful venue, Augusta-like in appearance, rolling green hills, trees in full bloom, all within a beautiful 15-turn road course. The best seats here are in the grass along the many hills that line this course. Close to 50,000 fans are pulling up a blanket here today to see the stars of IndyCar. 3 drivers are tied for second in points. Justin Wilson, Ryan Hunter-Reay, and 2009 Series champion Dario Franchitti. The fans have lined up here at Barber to see if anyone can interrupt the superpowers of points leader, Will Power. Welcome to IndyCar Central here on Versus. Hi, I'm Lindy Thaxton, and thanks so much for joining us here this afternoon. I must say we have to start with some breaking news. No rain. Barely even a cloud in the sky. Can you believe it after the downpours we had in Brazil and St. Pete? Well, this is race 3 of the 2010 Izod IndyCar Series season, and it's the 3rd on a road or street course as well. But this is actually the first time the series has come to Barber, although teams have tested here in the past. Aside from what a great venue Barber is, everyone is talking about Will Power. He sits on pole today. He won the first 2 races this season, but that didn't come without plenty of drama.
The Izod IndyCar Series begins.
Oh, one in the air.
Just carnage at turn number 1. Look at the weather.
Briscoe's wide. Oh, he's in the tires.
Briscoe missed the corner. Will Power will look to the inside of Hunter-Reay and try to get the lead, and he will.
The Aussie is going to win the 2010 Izod IndyCar Series season opener.
Then he gets chopped, and he loses the wing. Whoa! Look at Rahal trying to go underneath Di Silvestro, and then Ryan Hunter-Reay makes contact, and Di Silvestro goes around.
You're being a bit greedy. Okay. And I just clipped the inside wall, and 2 mistakes on my part.
He will open the 2010 season with back-to-back victories. The Aussie Will Power.
It's his teammate who has joined me, Helio Castroneves, has been saying ever since Brazil, I don't know what we're going to do. My partner's got the power. But let's get serious for a moment. In your mind, can you come up with any reasonable explanation for what's going on with that kid?
Well, certainly he's adapted well. He feels confident. He has a... he showed a lot of talent last year. Roger gave him a chance for the full season. Look what's happened. The guy's ready.
Yeah, so much for him bailing you out. Now all of a sudden you're chasing him, but let's talk about that for a moment. You're back in the saddle. You're chasing a championship. You've got a 500 to defend, but how about here at Barber? What do you think it's going to take for you to win?
Well, he's been showing a lot of speeds, but again, it's difficult to pass in this place. Very hard, but his strategy, he might play not only for the guys in the front, but play for the guys in the back as well. So it's going to be an interesting race. You guys cannot leave the room at the beginning of the race because it's going to be very, very interesting. So well, let's see what happens. We feel confident we have a good car today.
Yeah, Robbie, I tried to find out what his strategy was going to be, and he said, nope, you're just going to have to watch like everybody else. Let's go to Robbie Floyd.
I'm ready to check out Helio Castroneves. I'm also waiting to see how Mott Conway does with the starting on the front row next to Will Power. When was the last time you started a race on the front row?
It was back in 2008, actually, at Monaco, and we won from there. So, you know, hopefully we can do the same today.
That's a good feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. We got a great chance today. You know, the roll cuts car is working really well, and all the guys at Drawing Ryan Bowl will be doing a great job all weekend, and yeah, we just need to capitalize on what we have.
There's no doubt. I think you've been one of the fastest cars in the road and street courses last year and this year, but what has changed for you in a mental aspect? Because it's not all about going fast. You have to learn how to, you know, drive fast and smooth and such.
Yeah, the main thing has just been let the race come to me. You know, not try and, you know, move forward as fast as I can, but just let it come to me and pick off people when I can and be as consistent as I can. And it really helps, you know, with the team, you know, working as hard and well as they are. And, you know, having Justin as a teammate has really helped too. So it's, yeah, it just seems to be working all together as a package at the moment.
Good luck. Starts on that front row. Lindy Thaxton trying to be smooth and keep all four wheels on the asphalt.
Thank you, Robbie. With his 2 wins, Will Power has a 45-point lead over Wilson, Hunter Ray, and Franchitti. And with Rafa Montos in 5th, 5 different teams are represented in the top 5. Penske, Dreyer and Reinbold, Andretti, Ganassi, and Lusso Dragon de Ferrin. Still a long way to go, we know, but here's a look at some of the open-wheel drivers who've won the first 2 races of the season and gone on to win the points championship. You see A.J. Foyt there in 64, Rick Mears in 82, you see Paul Tracy in 03, but now look at how they did in the 3rd race. Well, Foyt went on to win the next 5, Mears came in 2nd, and Tracy won. By taking the pole yesterday, Will Power continues to dominate. Meet the man from down under when IndyCar Central takes the next lap here on Versus.
Robbie with an interview taped just a few minutes ago. Drivers have been ordered to their cars, and the pace quickens as we get set for the start of today's race. Hi, everyone. I'm Bob Jenkins, along with Jan Beekes and Robbie Buell, or Shorty, as we'll call him when he's standing next to Sir Charles. This is a brand new venue. We don't know how things are going to go, but Robbie says we need to keep in mind a guy that he brought us to know last year, Momentum, right?
Always going back into that. But momentum is a key here. But you also have very long sweeping corners where the guys are going to be pulling 5Gs, so that's very physical. Physical leads to mental breakdown. In some of these higher speed corners, if you make any mistakes, you're going to lose your momentum and your speed, and that really can kill you out here. Think of it in terms of a ski racer. When a downhill ski racer, skiing gate, when he misses a gate or a setup, he loses all his speed. So if that happens here, it's a great opportunity for the competition to pounce.
And you talk about pouncing, you heard Castro Neves say, don't miss the start. And I think there's a couple people we might want to watch. That's your driver, Mike Conway, his best ever qualifying on the front row, and then Takuma Sato. He qualified 6th. We know he's aggressive, but too aggressive in Brazil, caused a pileup in the first turn. To pass here, you have to go for it and hang it out. How much will they do it on the start?
Well, we'll see, and we'll see also if Will Power can make it the 3-peat and win 3 in a row. The command to start engines just a little bit away, and the team crew members are getting their game faces on for today's Indy Grand Prix of Alabama on Versus Central. The Augusta-like of American road courses, built in the sheer beauty of the Deep South. The vision, the passion of a Southern gentleman. 15 turns, 80 feet of elevation changes, a 2.3-mile circuit, perhaps the finest road track in North America. It's 2010. The inaugural IZOD IndyCar Series event is here. Will Power comes over the hill and makes heavy contact. Will Power has compression fractures and a concussion. Coming off a horrific crash in 2009 that could have ended his career, Will Power returns to the scene, and this season with a pair of back-to-back wins that have jump-started his comeback. But as the springtime rolls through the state of Alabama, a long road to the championship remains as the heavy hitters of the IZOD IndyCar Series take to this field of dreams. For the first time ever in the state of Alabama, the Izod IndyCar Series is about to compete on the spectacular and well-manicured Barber Motorsports Park in the Indy Grand Prix of Alabama. 90 laps of racing, 207 miles. It's time for the command. Let's go trackside.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Please welcome the visionary behind the Barber Vintage Motorsports Museum and the Barber Motorsports Park, Mr. George Barber, as he gives the command.
Ladies, gentlemen, y'all start these engines.
The command has been given. Syntax, beginning with row 1. Let me hear you.
Just a spectacular facility on a spectacular day, and Jan has a look at the track itself.
And from this overhead view, you can see how beautiful it is. It's a busy racetrack. You mentioned, Bob, 2.3 miles and 80 feet of elevation changes. You work your way up through 1, 2, 3, these complexes. But look at turn 5. That's highlighted because that is the place, if there's going to be passing today, that's where you're aggressive. You're going to get it in there and try and get it done. Some really fast chicanes, 9 and 10. You're flying 165 into 11 up over the top of the hill. Just like Robbie Buell said, a physical, demanding racetrack.
And our strategist, Jack Arute, is on station. Jack?
Now, Bob, normally when we come to a racetrack, every team has got what we call the little book. In it is the history that they've done, setups, how many cautions, everything, the raw data that you need to develop a strategy. Well, that's not the case here at Barber Motorsports Park. This is the first race. It has gone so deep that let me take you back to warm-ups earlier today. Our pole sitter, Will Power, isn't even sure how the start's going to go. So what did he do on the final lap? He practiced. The key, Robbie, was to get the practice in anticipation of for real just moments from now.
Thanks, Jack. Things have been great from a public relations standpoint for Dreyer and Reinbold. Elizabeth Cannon is in charge of both Justin Wilson, who sits second in points, and Mike Conway, who sits second on pole today. There she is right there, but she's also been nervous the first 2 races because her fiancé has won the first 2 races, Will Power. So while she has to take care of her boys at Dreyer and Reinbold, she also has her eye on her man, Will Power.
3 peak pole qualifying sessions so far in 2010. Will Power has won 2 of them, and all 4 of his poles have been on road courses. He set the pace for today's race yesterday afternoon. Dario Franchitti has the other pole so far this year in Brazil. Here's the starting lineup. Mike Conway has his best Izod IndyCar start alongside Will Power in row 1. Elio is with Marco in row 2. Marco's best start since Infineon last year. Scott Dixon has 35 consecutive top 10 starts alongside the fastest of the 3 cars from KB Racing Technology.
And that is Takuma Sato, who's done a great job to be in P6 today, but all 3 cars of KV are in the top 12.
The defending series champion is inside row 4 with Tony Kanaan. 2 top 10 finishes this year. The 5th row, Briscoe, who drove from 19th to 3rd at St. Pete, and EJ Viso, who led a lap at St. Pete. The 6th row includes Wilson and Marias.
And Justin Wilson is the highest qualifier. You see them come through here on red sidewall tires. Justin Wilson, the first one today to go with the black sidewall Firestones.
And as you look at the rest of the starting field, regardless of who wins today's race, Will Power will retain his points lead. He has that much of a cushion after the first 2 events of the year. Danica Patrick has the 19th starting spot for today's run. Vitor Meira starting his 100th Izod IndyCar Series event. And we have one more newcomer to the series. Belgium driver Bertrand Baguette, driving for Conquest Racing, will start in last. Onboard cameras will be carried today by Dan Weldon in the National Guard Panther racing machine. Alex Tagliani starts 21st. He finished 6th 2 weeks ago. Ryan Hunter-Reay has the outside 7th row starting spot. He was 2nd in Brazil and 11th at St. Petersburg. Tony Kanaan is the 2004 Series champion. Scott Dixon is looking for better results after an 18th place finish in St. Petersburg. And of course, Will Power going for 3 in a row and a 45-point lead in the point series. They, of course, have their choice of starting on the blacks or the reds. And there is the breakdown. 6 black sets of blacks and 3 sets of alternate reds. We're not going to use the grooved rain tires this weekend, thank goodness.
That is certainly a great change, but look, there's no question the front of the field likes those softer, more grip alternate tires. We'll have to see if that strategy for Wilson pays. Great lineup coming to the start.
2x2 all the way back. Off of corner number 15. They come to the line. Charles Barkley is ready. And here's the green flag presented by Apex Brazil. Experience our energy to turn 1. Power has command.
Good to see how Conway had just tucked in behind him, and everybody is clean through 1.
They go through here 2x2 in the back part of the field. Simona Di Silvestro is all running alongside Graham Rahal in the back. But up front, it's a train down to 5. Scott Dixon jumped the start. He's going to have to drop back a couple of positions. See some dust kicked up.
So watch, Dixon's running in the 3rd spot right now. So when he gets on a straightaway, he's going to have to slow up and give those 2 spots. If not, they're going to bring him down pit road. So he needs to correct that himself.
And that's not a judgment call. The rules say that you must cross in your position at the start of a race, unlike a restart. So they just look at that telemetry. That's not a judgment call. Hey, you were out of position. Go back 2 spots.
Power through turns 11 and 12 with the rest of the field behind him. There's Di Silvestro and Graham Rahal. Mike Conway is only about a car length behind here as they come onto the front stretch for the first time. And Will Power will lead lap 1 with Conway running in 2nd position.
And there is Dixon.
Yep, there's
right
Dixon.
there. He let the 1 car round. That was a very good spot to do it. He didn't really lose any ground. He just nicely pulled over, got out of throttle. Now he needs to do that same thing for Marco, and then he's good to go. Back to racing.
Elio Castroneves 3rd.
The mental aspect of the driver, though, just going through that Dixon's probably going, no, I know it was a clean start. What are you talking about? But obviously it's communicated. He's all good to go right now.
And you want to get that job done early. You don't want to wait to let the people by. You want to get right back after it again and say, okay, my bad. Now I'm getting after it. See if I can take those positions back again.
Dixon's teammate, Dario Franchitti, carrying blue colors again this week, was Suave on the side pods this time. Right behind Dario Franchitti is the Lotus-sponsored car of Takuma Sato. Beautiful green and yellow colors of Lotus.
This is the first racetrack that he got behind the wheel of an Indy car, and he did it on a very, very cold test day. And one of the first things he did was spun off, not having tire warmers like they do in Formula One, and it was a quick education for Takuma Sato.
But what was really impressive, Jan, inside of the first 15 laps he ever had this car here, he was well up in the top 10 on the grid. So he adjusted and adapted pretty quickly to what an Indy car can do in the power there.
Sato running in 7th position. There's Franchitti in 6th. It is really good to see Marco running up front once again. He was good in the early stages at St. Petersburg and looking good here. This is Ryan Hunter-Reay on board through turn 7.
And we have really had some fantastic onboard shots from Ryan as we've been leading up to the race here, because he has been doing everything he can in that cockpit to go as fast as possible. And that means he's been working that wheel. He hasn't really had the balance in the race car, so you see a little left, right, and he's always saving that race car. Hopefully it's calmed down a little bit here for the 90 laps you need to run around this place.
something new for you. Our pointer showing, in this case, EJ Viso up ahead.
And if you're getting used to identifying cars by helmet colors, you'll have to retrain yourself for Viso. He likes to repaint his helmet, certainly the same paint scheme and number 8 on the car. But we used to always say green helmet, that's Viso. No, he's repainted it, so be careful on that one.
Tony Kanaan runs in 8th position.
Big elevation right there coming up off of turn 4 across that rise. You can't see what's on the other side, but you're coming across there committed, hard on the gas. Jack?
Hey guys, as you watch the 7-Eleven car of Tony Kanaan, keep in mind that there are 20 overtake opportunities on these Honda engines. For Tony Kanaan, he's already used one of them. Now the duration is about 12 seconds, and there's a reset of about 10 seconds. But Kanaan, trying to work his way masterfully through the traffic, has already used one, as has Marco Andretti, and as has Justin Wilson.
3 of 90 laps have been completed here, with the lead being held right now by Will Power with about a 0.7 of a second advantage on Mike Conway. Helio Castroneves is 3rd, Marco Andretti 4th, Scott Dixon is 5th in the Indy Grand Prix of Alabama. Power has now led in his last 5 starts. He has a 1.3 second advantage on 2nd place Mike Conway. There's 2nd place Conway. 3rd place Helio Castroneves. Then Marco Andretti, and then we see Scott Dixon, who is back in 5th spot. Now remember, at the very start of the race, he was charged with gaining some positions, and he had to give up 2. Here he is coming off of corner number 15.
Sure enough, when he crossed the line, that was P4, and that shows up on that timeline. And you can see going up the hill there, you may have caught Justin Wilson. We now know that he used his overtake button on the start and picked up 2 positions on lap 1 on those black sidewall Firestones.
But really, when you go back and look at that, he made the pass on Helio, you know, going into 1, and where that timeline is, because it's, as you said, it's all done electronically. I'm not sure he was ahead of Helio how it does trip it, so that may have been a little bit of a, you know, a gray area call from the stewards.
Dario Franchitti is about 7 seconds in 6th position.
Dario Franchitti, Edinburgh, Scotland, team target. Colin McRae said it best. You're here for a good time, not for a long time.
He says he has that on the back of his helmet as well, Colin McRae.
Yep.
That's
good words to live by.
Perfect saying for the back of a helmet.
That turn 7 that he just went through is a real tight right-hander, and you are going downhill. It seems to me like it's very much like the corkscrew at Laguna Seca. Maybe not that dramatic, but it's a similar type of corner.
Yeah, and they're slowing down to that right-hander there. It's probably about 60 miles an hour. But when they come off that corner, they are full on the power all the way through 9, 10 until they get to a turn 11. So it really is a crucial corner how they come off.
Will Power leads. There he is. Mike Conway's hanging right in there. He's a little more than a second behind, but keeping him inside at least.
I think now, we're 8 laps into this. Now we want to kind of start seeing, we've talked about the Firestone tires and the reds. But the key thing is here, when do these red tires start going off, losing grip? And we'll get more back to that in a second.
This would not be a problem. The window has opened for you to take the opportunity. Robbie Floyd?
Guys, he told me he was going to be a pit strategy kind of race. Didn't qualify all that well. He did not test here. He's still getting used to this track. Complaining of understeer. He's been working to find that balance. He's hoping this pit strategy will pay off. He comes out now, and either if you have a yellow flag late, boy, he's going to be hauling boots. Hey, if it comes out quick, he's going to be thinking about saving as much fuel as he can.
And that's what he would want if he makes an early pit stop. You say, if by chance there's a full course caution, I have pitted and no one else has, they all peel onto pit road and you get a free pass to the front. Those are the kind of risks that you take when you're near the back. And again, the pit window opened at lap 6, so he will not have to do an extra stop. We expect 3 stops today. That would just be one of the 3 that came early.
And he's got nobody in front of him right now, so as Robbie said, he's going to be hauling.
Helio Castroneves continues to run in 3rd place, about 5 seconds behind the leader. Helio has a 9th and a 4th in terms of finishing positions this year.
I had a great conversation with him this morning, and I asked him about the setups between Will Power himself and his teammate Ryan Briscoe. He said, you know, we have access to all that data. But he said to me, you know what? Will is doing things different in the car. It's not just that he uses his left foot on the brake versus Helio uses right. It's the fact that he drives differently. Weldon also taking advantage of an early stop.
Yeah, a couple of cars in. Dan Weldon, the National Guard car in. And there's the Roman Cini car, number 34. He's getting a big wing adjustment for Conquest Racing, and he's back out. Those pit stops coming on lap 10.
And we're probably going to see a couple more stops all the way up through lap 12. And like what they're trying to do is they're trying to cycle through, get off sequence, and have clear track running. Because you want to run as fast as you can around this racetrack. You don't want to get hung up with anybody in front of you. That's how you're going to gain advantage when you come in and out of pit road.
Now looking at Will Power, just to put a period on the Castroneves story, was that he said, Jan, I've actually tried some different styles of driving here after putting the data on top. And you know, Will Power's got something to that. Robbie?
Down to Robbie Floyd, who's waiting for the Tony Kanaan stop.
TK pulls in. He's going to take off those reds and go back to the primary tires. He's been working on setup all week, doing something different than Marco Andretti. Now he's on Marco's setup. He thinks he's fast, and that was a quick pit stop.
And anytime that you're not having to take a full load of fuel, it puts a lot of pressure on the tire changers. Typically, the tire changers can take 7-8 seconds. That's how long it takes to fill up with fuel. Not when you pit here early on at lap 12.
Well, you won't miss a thing because we have Indycar non-stop. We have completed 10 of 90 laps, and once again, Will Power has a 1.1 second advantage on Conway with Castroneves, Andretti, and Dixon 1 through 5. Well, you saw a non-stop, no spin, no real obvious problem, but the Lotus just stopped on course with Takuma Sato in the cockpit. The Homatro safety team is there. Maybe it's a throttle linkage problem or something of that nature. They're going to take it back into the paddock area and try to fix it and get it back out there. But it does bring about our first caution of the day, and it comes just after we saw some early pit stops.
And Jan, you can go more on this, but we are absolutely in that first window of pit box. So all those guys that have come in, like we just saw Weldon, if the rest of the field comes in right now because they think that's good, what a great move for those guys to come in, get their stop done prior to this. If
for any of that group that stopped, it's going to be a great bonus, but only if those in front of them now decide to take this opportunity to pit.
Well, the professional bull riders continue to kick up the dirt in Napa. The PBR concludes tonight at 9 Eastern, right here on Versus. And the new CEO of the Indycar, Indy Racing League, Randy Bernard, of course, came to the professional bull riders, and we'll have an extensive interview with Randy, if not before, certainly at Indianapolis during the month of May, where, of course, we have extensive coverage of qualifying and the pre-race activity. Okay, let's see what happens here. And we see some cars making their stop, including Mike Conway and Will Power.
There's Justin Wilson. Now look at this angle. They're coming down pit road, and that's all under green running, if you will, for the pit stop. And they got a tight left-hander with that guardrail there.
So Castroneves stayed out. So did Andretti, Dixon. But these cars are all giving up a lot of spots.
Lindy.
Will Power pulls in right on his marks like several others. He started on the red alternates. He is taking the black tires now, filling up with fuel. In the first stint, they said, great pace, we're going through. And does he get out before Mike Conway? Power kept it.
Oh, they're still tussling.
Oh, no, maybe not. There he goes.
Well, we need to get back to that line. We need to see where the pit outline was with regards to where Conway was and Power, and then that will determine that.
It will not be, of course, for the lead, but it will be for position.
And again, that is not a driver thing. That is going to be an electronic decision. Certainly, you can't fault Mike Conway for going for it, but who got to the line first?
There it is. And I hate to tell you, Mike, darn it. But he raced him out hard.
Yeah, just in case.
Ooh, look at that. You see the pull out there?
Yeah, a slight delay. And that is the advantage of being at pit out, being the championship point leader. He wasn't quite up to speed, but he got rolling and get across that line.
Sato's car being taken behind the wall for repairs. Hopefully he can get back out there.
So that's not a good thing. It wasn't just like a little electrical gremlin that they found something they fixed. There's something a little bit more there anytime you pull it back behind the wall.
Conway's still ahead of Will. Hasn't apparently been told yet to go back.
Now here is something very interesting. Will Power now has not a clear view. There he's going to make the position right, but look ahead. There's a lot of race cars ahead of Will Power because they made a decision to pit. Castro Neves, his teammate, along with Marco Andretti here at Scott Dixon, they've got clear sailing.
And I
did not.
And I think the next thing we need to watch here, guys, and I started talking about is tire management. We've talked about sometimes how you can really build up these tires, and I think, Jack, you got more on that right now?
Well, actually, we're going to talk a little bit about how important it is to save the tires in a moment. First, I want to take you back to that pit stop between Will Power and the run off of pit road. When you take a look at the pit stop, you notice he's got the #1 stall. It's 40 feet in length, but it's very, very narrow. Now, here comes Conway. Conway is in the high-speed lane. He's at 50 miles an hour. So how did Will Power get by him? It was real simple. He didn't have to launch and get out into the high-speed lane. See, he stayed on the inside, and that gave him the advantage, although his speed at the line was slower than the 24 car.
Will Power drops back to 14th position. Conway is now 15th. The leader of the race will be Helio Castroneves with Marco Andretti second. At the top of your screen, you see the rundown. But Dixon, Franchitti, and now Simona Di Silvestro shows up in the top 5.
Well, so what I was starting to say prior to that is Helio has been out now on the red tires. You know, he's done about 12 hot laps on them. Is there going to be any fall off of those tires? And that, again, remember, that's part of the design that is here with Firestone. These red sidewalls are a softer compound. It's faster, but they don't have the durability. So with not having that durability, they kind of fall off a little bit sooner in terms of their life. Are we going to see that?
Well, Robbie, I talked to Tim Cindric about that before the start of the race, and they both felt, he and Helio, that it's worth the gamble at this point. Track position versus the fall off. They said until we get to the first third of the race completed, it's worth staying out in the reds if you can gain some spots. About to go back to green.
Indeed we are. They come down into turn number 15. Onto the straightaway, and the Apex Brazil green flag comes out once again for our first restart of the day. Down into turn number 1 they go. Quite an elevation change there from the start-finish line down to turn 1, and then they come uphill just a bit. And look at Marco putting the pressure on Helio.
And we saw how aggressive Marco was at the beginning of St. Pete. He's going to set him up.
It's a great passing zone. Oh, he's going to do it. Marco takes the lead, or does he? He runs Helio off.
But Helio did give him a little bit coming in, but Marco didn't give him too much coming back out, did he?
And fellas, how did Marco Andretti make that pass? How about this? Was he coming up on Helio? He hit the overtake button. Helio Castroneves saw it in his mirror. Helio hit the overtake button. He waited for it to reset. Marco Andretti hit the overtake button for a second time, completed the pass.
And remember what that overtake gives us. It only gives you about 9 horsepower, give or take a little bit, and that really isn't that much, but it shows you how competitive and how tight it is. And you're fighting for every, not 10th, not every 100th, you're fighting for thousands.
Which is the reason why it's been labeled overtake assist. In other words, Marco already had the move started.
Sure.
He used that to complete it. It's not going to get the job done for you. It's going to help you finish it.
And it worked.
It did.
Indeed. Down to Robbie Floyd.
Mike Hall makes the decisions for Scott Dixon. Your thoughts are to stay out. I guess the Reds aren't falling off like some people thought they may.
Well, they were better. Maybe it's just because it's just the first run on the tires, but the tires are holding up okay at the moment. And you know what? We weren't even into the window yet. So with a little bit of yellow, it could be, I don't want to lead anybody on. It could be a 2-stop race if everything fell right. But we'd rather be at the front running clean laps, and this is the best way to do it.
Well, you saw it with aggressiveness. You can make passes out there. Is the thought to be aggressive or just kind of bide your time right now up front and don't make any mistakes?
Well, you don't win the race at the beginning. You win the race at the end. We'd rather be aggressive with toward the 90th lap than the 10th lap.
And checker flag comes on that last lap, guys. Mike Hall still smiles right now, and both drivers for the Target Chip Ganassi crew up near the front.
And Robbie, when he says they weren't in the window with kind of a little bit of a smirk, you're not in a 2-stop window, but you were definitely in a 3-stop window. And you heard him mention, well, you know, with some yellow, if you had quite a bit of yellow, it's possible it could be a 2-stop race, but that would be one heck of a stretch.
That could be just the mental aspect of the game we love. That's posturing. I'm just going to say that. But we all know it's a stretch. But Dixon is as good as anybody at saving fuel and being smart. I mean, you know, he does what he has to do when he needs to do it, whether it's making fuel or not. He knows how to do it.
We're back here in the pack where Will Power and Mike Conway came out after their pit stops. They're still running 13th and 14th.
Bob, here's the conundrum that Will Power finds himself on, and we better watch this very closely. His crew has told him, look, if you can pass, go ahead and pass. But if it's too difficult, then what we want you to do is just ride and start saving fuel. As he's starting to come with Conway, I think both of them were able to pass, so I think the fuel deal is out the window.
All right. Mario Romancini leading that little pack there with Ryan Briscoe right behind him.
So, Jack, this is Robbie. You're there to save fuel or to pass? What he said?
No, basically what he said is he wanted Will to test it out. If you can get by traffic, then go ahead. But remember what I talked about? You don't want to get bottled up.
Yeah.
If it's too hard to pass, then let's drop back. Let's just save fuel, and we'll wait to fight a little bit later in the race. They found that they were able, at least thus far, to get through some of that traffic, so they're not worried about the fuel.
Yeah, gotcha. Thank you.
Laps completed, working lap number 19 of 90 at Barber Motorsports Park. Leeds, Alabama. Marco Andretti leads. Nothing but Southern hospitality expressed to all of us as we arrived at Barber Motorsports Park. The race is on, and Marco Andretti leads Helio Castroneves by about 2 seconds with 20 laps of 90 completed.
And we heard Marco earlier say, you know, this year I just want to get back to having fun. And when you're having fun at what you love to do, doesn't it make it all work?
Yeah, he said he was trying to clear his name. I thought that was a very interesting way of putting it. I mean, he realizes that he needs better finishes. He needs better results. And he may be having his comeback of the year.
And part of that, it is what he told me earlier. It's getting back to the basics, not looking for that silver bullet. Let's focus on what we know we can do and do it well, not get too creative. He can drive a race car. He's got a great engineer in Tino Belli. Obviously, they're connecting in communication and getting it done.
Now, the top 9 have not made pit stops. We had some before the yellow, and we had some during the yellow for Takuma Sato. Tony Kanaan is running in 10th position, and he is the first driver who has made a pit stop. Simona Di Silvestro continues to look good. She hangs in there in 5th, and Danica Patrick is running in 9th position. And one of the local celebrities is with Lindy Thaxton.
Guess who's here? Taylor Hicks, winner of the 5th season of American Idol. You've never been to an IndyCar race. Tell me what you think of this in your backyard.
This is my first IndyCar race, and you know, being from Alabama, we have racing in our blood, but we've never experienced an IndyCar race like this before here in Alabama. And it's a beautiful Alabama day, and we're glad that Indy's come here to Alabama.
You must also have singing in the blood here, because Bo Bice and Ruben Studdard, both from near here as well.
Yeah, you know, there's some singing and there's some racing in the blood, definitely. You know, being from this state and having racing such a big part, to have an IndyCar event, you know, it's rocking.
Taylor, thanks for your time.
Thank you, appreciate it.
And of course, guys, you know we have our own reality star here in Helio Castroneves.
Of course, yeah, winner of Dancing with the Stars. But the Guy who is winning the battle at the moment is Marco Andretti. This is his 24th start in the series on a street or road course, and he has now led in 10 of these races. And of course, his win came at Infineon in the natural road course. And there is Simona Di Silvestro. Had an opportunity to talk with her on Friday, and I don't think you'll find very many people who will disagree that she is, as they say in the business, the real thing.
No question about that. We saw her visualize and blindfold go over what a lap was, and she hit it to a T. But what we've also heard from her crew guys, from Mike Cannon, they are the first to give Simona credit, and that's why she's driving for them. She has a great ability to feel the car, but then to communicate that to the engineers. That's what's important. Whoa, look at
this wheel-to-wheel.
Lock in.
Briscoe and Conway. They head for turn number 7. And Conway will get the spot.
Yeah, he had that inside line, just had to hold him out right there.
That was an aggressive move there.
Fellas, let's update you on the cars that have not pitted. First with Marco Andretti. He should be coming in about 6 laps. Helio Castroneves' crew has said they'd like to go 7 more laps. You heard about Scott Dixon. What we've got to do is see who comes first in that group. And then you know what the teams are going to do that have already pitted? Now they know more or less the outside window, the fuel window that is, and they'll begin to count backwards from the last lap in this race. What a great view from the helicopter, huh, fellas?
Yes, Jack, and when you talk about people coming in 6 or 7 laps, that would be because they would determine they don't want more laps on those Firestone alternates, because by the calculations, they won't need fuel yet if you really want to stretch it. And I would predict that Scott Dixon, after hearing from Mike Hull, will be one who will go much longer than 6 or 7 laps from now.
At least that's what he wanted us to believe, and everybody else.
No, I mean, historically, yes, that's what they do.
And they do it great.
Danica Patrick running in 9th spot, right behind her Tony Kanaan. He has pitted. Meanwhile, Marco continues to lead, and his advantage over second place Helio Castroneves is just about 1 second. 1 second advantage for Marco over Helio.
Now, we talked a bit earlier about the start and stop because we had those early pit stops. He did have the opportunity to overlay his driving data on top of Will Powers and determine it wasn't just car setup, that Will was physically doing things around this racetrack that he had never tried. And he said that I had to go out there and do things that didn't feel like it's what I should do. After all these years of driving, he said, you know what? Will was right. I had to drop my comfort zone and try stuff, and Will is just doing extra special stuff in his car.
Helio Castroneves, São Paulo, Brazil, Team Penske. A common misperception of me, people think that I'm wild. I might play some games with the guy, especially Will Power, joining the full season. So we gotta give a guy, the rookie guy, you know, a little. Now I'm the veteran, so I'm sure we're gonna have a lot of fun.
Mr. Wild, Helio Castroneves, second to Marco Andretti. Dixon is third, followed by Franchitti and Di Silvestro. Stay with us for more on Versus. Beautiful look at Barber Motorsports Park. Marco Andretti is leading right now. It has been 54 races since his one and only win at Sonoma, California Infineon Raceway. It's been 33 since Danica Patrick won her race in Motegi. Graham Rahal with a 32 race dry spell. Dan Weldon 28 and Kanaan 27. He last won at Richmond in 2008. We expect Marco Andretti and maybe several others to be making pit stops very, very shortly. Tony Kanaan has already made his pit stop. Remember, up ahead is Danica Patrick. On the front stretch, watch the speed here, up to 154.
And looking ahead, as we're looking to that, Danica has not made the stop. So when we're riding on board with TK here, if everybody in front there did come in for that pit stop, again, Dixon is the guy we got the question mark on. Our guy right here, TK, wouldn't take over the lead of the race.
Right. What we are safe to say, though, is everyone ahead of him will have to stop before Tony. So therefore, if that happens, he's the leader of this group.
We saw
Go ahead.
I was going to say Will Power just passed Dan Weldon for 11th.
Yeah, we always say when oh man, it's going to be so hard to pass. You know what?
Right.
You never know it. You got to get out here and see it. And for this guy who we know absolutely is hooked up, and Helio Castroneves has been scratching his head doing overlays to figure out where his speed is. He's got it, and he's getting by, guys. And remember, Conway was right behind him.
Yeah.
Now he's got those two other cars between him and Conway. So it just shows you absolutely how quick Power is.
Both Weldon and Tagliani between Power and Conway. And there's the classic pass. He picks up the position, and Robbie Floyd, pit activity.
Danica Patrick coming in for her pit stop. Of course, she has the black. She's one of the only Andretti Green cars to come in on that, and they're throwing on another set of black tires right now, dropping it. Don't see any adjustments, and back out with a full load of fuel. So black to black again for Andretti's Racing, Danica Patrick.
And pulling out right in front of her, Vitor Meira in his 100th IZOD IndyCar Series event for A.J. Foyt on the podium in Brazil to start the 2010 season. Look at the countryside filled with those spectators. Great to see. And the leader, Marco Andretti, comes toward the pit. Robbie Floyd, he'll soon be headed toward you. And
well,
here's
Kyle Miller is telling him to keep going out there. They like, evidently, the fuel mileage, but also he was turning such fast lap times. So he takes off those Firestone Firehawk reds, throws on a brand new set of blacks. He thought that, yeah, they were going away. They made a lot of miles out of them. Little stall right there on the start of the takeoff, but they were getting a lot of duration out of those reds. They think they're going to be in perfect mode for those blacks.
Dario still sitting in his pit as the service is completed. Now he's away.
And these are crucial laps for Marco. Right now, he's come in, he's put fresh tires on their car.
There went Kanaan. Remember we said Kanaan was the leader of those who had pitted. He slotted right into this group.
And as I was saying, is when you come out on cold tires, this is what really separates the experienced people, trying to lay down laps on cold tires.
And that means that Marco Andretti, because we didn't see him in that shot,
he's ahead.
He is ahead of Kanaan. So by staying out there, that worked for him. He leapfrogged Tony Kanaan. Look at this move.
Weldon and Tagliani.
It's going to be Tag's corners. They kind of come up here to this right-hander, hit the curb hard.
Turn 7 and 8.
Well, Scott Dixon evidently making great fuel mileage. Lap 30s when he comes in. They make sure they got a full load of fuel in the Firestone Firehawks blacks. No adjustments for Dixon. He's making fuel, and I think they're happy with that. As Ricky Davis, thumbs up. Good stop for Scott Dixon.
But just flashing by, that was Andretti flashing by. Simona De Silvestro finishing her service. But, of course, the person who is not pitted, who should be in next time around, is Castroneves, who has the lead now.
And this on board with Scott Dixon, this is where he is absolutely brilliant, is what he can do on the outlap on cold tires, as well as that last couple laps before he comes in for service. If he's got clear running in front of him and he needs to get a little extra time out there, he can do it.
Marco followed by Dixon. Then comes Kanaan. And Helio will make his first stop. Lindy.
Helio said before this race, the fuel window here just seems to be huge. I have no idea what other people are going to be trying. One thing he does know right now, he is happy with his current race car. He is not asking for any changes. Helio started on the red alternate tires. They have taken those off. They are putting on the black primaries, filling up that fuel. There he goes.
Watch for Dixon. Watch for Andretti. They just flashed by.
There's Dixon.
So he's going to get second place.
Dixon, yep.
But let's watch how Dixon hounds him as he comes off of 3 and goes across 4 here. He may take a look as they go into turn 5. His tires are up to temperature. Is he going to take a look?
Dixon's on the overtake button.
Not enough.
That's a good bit of driving coming out on cold tires. You can see that wiggle off the back of Castroneves. You leave the pits. It takes a little while to get the tires up to temperature. That was a nice job of defensive
driving, keeping Dixon behind.
And what it did is Dixon had that momentum, and Elio shut that momentum down right now. And really, that was his opportunity to get past. Now he's just going to have to try and fill his mirrors and get Helio into a mistake if he's going to get by.
Momentum.
Momentum. Yeah. That's the deal, man.
So it's Andretti, Castroneves, Dixon, Kanaan, and Power, with everybody now having made at least one pit stop. Back with more from Barber Motorsports Park. Finally, a sports show that talks with you and not at you. The Daily Line. Our host will cover the day's hottest topics and invite you to join the conversation live by calling in, texting, emailing, or tweeting. The Daily Line, weeknights at 6, live only on Versus. And on Versus on this beautiful Sunday afternoon, it's the Izod Indycar Series, and we've already had our first series of pit stops.
And if you look at the outlaps there, look who was the quickest, Marco Andretti. You know, I was giving good praise to Scott Dixon that he's masterful at it. But remember, Dixon on his outlap was held up a little bit by Elio. So maybe that could have been faster. But that 3/10, that's a big number. And gaining position the way we cycle in and out of pit road under green conditions.
And Jack Arute, we're dealing with a rather narrow pit lane down there.
Indeed we are, Bob. In fact, while the pit stalls are 40 feet wide, it's only narrower. The only pit road narrower is Long Beach. Now, I want to show you this pit stop. You see, Danica Patrick is behind Vitor Meira. The speed limit is 50 miles an hour. She's already up to 50. Meira is at only 35 miles an hour, but because he came out directly in front of her, that's a blocking maneuver, kind of like a pick that Butler might have thrown Monday night as they lost the national championship. Those are all the little tricks of the trade that these drivers use to gain a little bit of an advantage.
Thank you for mentioning them, Jack, because all of us in Indianapolis, and I think a lot of people around the world, fell in love with the Butler Bulldogs, didn't they? There is Rafa Matos in the number 2 car. He's back in 20th position. And there's Vitor Meira right behind him. AJ Foyt Racing for Vitor Meira, and the Lusso Dragon DeFerrin Motorsports entry from Rafa Matos. Let's go to Robbie Floyd.
Marco Andretti qualifies for making the most of his day. Kyle Moyer, it looks like you're making good fuel, but also he is extremely fast. What's the strategy now?
Well, I mean, we need help if we're going to do it on 2 stops. But right now, everybody on the track's sitting on 2 stops. Good thing is we're leading with that strategy. So, you know, we're running as hard as we can, and we've got the car to do that. You know, so as long as we keep them up front in open air, I think we can nail some people. But, you know, we don't need any yellows.
Marco said it would be the adjustments that would make the difference today. What adjustments have you made talking to him?
Well, with the reds, we were about right. Now on the blacks, we're a little neutral, but I think the fronts will wear off, and then it'll come balanced again.
Things set up a little bit better for him. Lady Thaxton's with Tim Cindric and Team Penske.
Tim Cindric, Elio's strategist. I know you just told Elio to settle in and try to make some fuel mileage. What's your plan here?
Right now, we're obviously trying to make a 2-stop race out of this, and Elio's done a great job saving fuel to this point in time, but it all depends on when the yellows fall. You know, if we can run this stint and stay our green strategy here, we'll be good on a 2-stop race, and he'll be in the driver's seat. We just have to see how the yellows fall.
If it stays green, how long do you plan to make it?
We can do it in about 30 more laps.
30 more laps?
Yeah, well,
Tim.
30 from when we stop.
Thank you, Tim. Jack?
Remember, Lindy, Helio Castroneves was the last of those guys to stop. So he has a little bit more pad when it comes to choosing that 2-stop strategy. Now we're starting to get to the point, guys up in the booth, as Alex Tagliani's going to come in because he's out of sequence. Starting to get to the point where guys like Andretti, guys like Castroneves, and guys like, well, on 2-stop strategy, they're going to have to figure out they want to be the first to make their final stop. But if you're Will Power, hey, he's just creaming the competition. Can he do this thing in 3 stops?
We shall see. Meanwhile, the crew is ready for Alex Tagliani. It worked up to 7th position, but relinquishes it now to come in for his 2nd pit stop.
And after starting 21st, Bob, he's going on 4 black tires. Yeah, tire pressure tells me he's just looking for grip right now. And again, he is also strategy from everybody else. As here, Ryan Hunter-Reay comes into pit lane.
Andretti Autosport crew goes to work on that car. Ethanol in, Hunter-Reay out.
Now, a follow-up on those two strategists on pit road, you had on the one side Kyle Moyer saying at the moment the two-stop overall strategy, we don't think it's going to work. We have two more to make. But you get right down to Tim Cindric saying, well, we think the overall two-stop strategy, in other words, only stopping one more time, is alive. There's definitely some cat and mouse. You would need, in my opinion, quite a bit of yellow for Castroneves' strategy to work to only stop one more time. I don't think they're there yet.
Robbie, I would have to respectfully disagree with you, Jan, because here's the way I'm breaking it down. Remember, Helio Castroneves went to lap 31. Now, I understand that we had some caution, but we also had those preliminary laps. Now, normally what they figure is that two laps under yellow for every lap under green in terms of fuel consumption. It's going to be very, very close, but I think Helio Castroneves can do it because he is pitted. He went 31 laps versus Andretti's 29.
Oh, look at this action. Vitor Meira and Rafa Matos are wheel-to-wheel through the corner.
Remember these guys fighting it out at the end of Brazil?
Yeah.
Remember Vitor got Rafa for bragging rights and being on the podium there?
And the fourth car in the line there is Danica Patrick.
Vitor's chasing down Tags. We just saw Tags come out of the pit, so his tires are probably still coming up to pressures and temperatures.
There's a little bit of a tap.
Whoa.
Well, that's, you know, you got to be forceful to get around this racetrack, and it's great to see.
Here's Vitor.
Vitor. Nice clean pass.
Turn 5 and now turn 6.
But what's good to see is obviously that was aggressive pass. They both got out, they bumped tires, but it shows you that these cars are fairly sturdy. I mean, you can't just go banging at wheels, but you can brush up against things, and stuff's not going to fly off these race cars.
Well, Robbie, keep in mind that, remember, let's go to Robbie Floyd. All of a sudden, we've got a car on pit road.
Tony Kanaan throwing on a fresh set of primary tires. And I talked to Michael Andretti as he was getting ready to pull in. They're happy with that car and getting thrown out of the way because Alex Tagliani about to come in too, pitted right next to him. But he's happy with the way the car is handling right now. And remember, that's the same setup that Marco Andretti has. They both like their cars. They're just a little bit off different sequence than each other.
So Kanaan, just for the record, guys, Kanaan went 29 laps in that segment because he came in on lap 10. So that's what he did under a full green running, which is pretty good mileage.
That's better than expected.
Yeah.
So that would tip it towards Castroneves' strategy of saving some fuel and getting more laps.
Let me correct myself. That is under yellow. That's not full green running because remember he came in on lap 10, then it went yellow on 13. So
just after he made the pit
just
stop.
after.
Yeah.
So 29 laps, that does make sense.
And speaking of that yellow, Takuma Sato is back on track. 21 laps down, but he is back in the race. So all 25 cars are still running as we have completed 40 of the 90 laps in this Indy Grand Prix of Alabama as the National Guard car of Dan Weldon makes his way toward his pit. See if this pit stop goes smoothly. Putting on the blacks. And Weldon is underway. Good stop, 7 seconds.
Looked as though Will Power's crew was set up for him.
And Conway's as well, because Conway's box was right there in front of Weldon. Saw those guys set up. But it makes sense. They were in on lap 13, so there's 27 laps of green running.
There now, that's a number that we would expect for a fuel run. And there's no question, there's no speculating on the fact that Power's on a 3-stop strategy, as is Conway. They pitted early enough to where they're committed to that.
But where it's great right now for Will Power, he's got clean track in front of him. There he is. Power is on pit road.
Melcaduno pulling out.
Will Power purposefully coming in 2 laps behind Tony Kanaan. His strategist Clive Howell told him in his ear, go like heck, pretty much in those words, guys, to make up time since Tony will be out of the way. He came in on black tires. They are putting fresh tires on, loading up in fuel. He's just about down, and he's out. The 24
Conway service completed.
And they go with a different strategy. They decide to go at this stage of the race with the Reds, as does Briscoe.
Now remember, you have to use the Reds. You can use them a minimum of 2 laps, but you have to use them.
Now, did you notice on Conway's car? Woo, look at him. Just he says, I got to take that position away from you, Vitor. But that's the kind of driving you have to do so you don't lose that position, because it is so difficult. Goodbye. Vitor, go look on the inside. Not close enough.
Nope. Marco Andretti continues to lead this thing with about a 1.6-second advantage on Helio Castroneves. Marco Andretti leading at the Indy Grand Prix of Alabama. Welcome back to Barber Motorsports Park in Birmingham, or as Charles Barkley wants us to say, Leeds, Alabama. We're on board with number 37, Ryan Hunter-Reay, who's running 17th. That, of course, is Danica just ahead.
And we've seen some great battles back in the field. It was Rafa Matos earlier. That was what you said, 20th spot. And even when you're back, which doesn't sound like you're in it, there's some really hard driving going on.
Well, because you just never know where it's going to cycle through at the end of this, through pit stops and all that. But as tight and as competitive, you can't hold back at any time.
E.J. Viso is right behind Ryan Hunter-Reay.
And he closed fast. So Hunter-Reay is not able to keep his speed up, and E.J. Viso says, I have you in my sights.
Helio Castroneves has shaved the interval between himself and the leader of the race. It was about 1.1 about 3 laps ago, and now it's down to just, well, a car length.
So does Helio take the mindset now, okay, there's the leader of the race. I'm just going to pace off of him, mind my time in this position, and do what I can to save fuel, but obviously have Marco there right in front of me as the leader, knowing he's holding a good pace.
Makes sense.
As fast as he caught him, I think he's on it. I still feel without yellow, he's, in my view, of course, just a forecast, he's not going to make it in just one more stop. And I think as fast as he caught Marco, that he's now adopting the same strategy as Marco, knowing they will both have to stop.
Really? You think he's changed his strategy?
And you know what, guys, did you see that overtake number? Marco Andretti is using the overtakes, and in some cases, it's for an offensive advantage. In the case of Helio Castroneves, he's used one of them to try and hold Helio at bay. Helio still has 18. The overtake in terms of Marco Andretti, he's down to 15. So it's kind of interesting from my perspective. You can use this overtake not only to overtake, but to keep someone from overtaking you.
Yeah, that's true, Jack. And what I was saying, Bob, I don't think he changed his strategy. I just have thought that that was awfully optimistic from the pit road to say that he could do it in one more stop.
No question about it.
What's this little move here by Dan Weldon? Oh,
that's a do-no sandwich there.
Tagliani on the inside. Weldon on the outside, and along comes Rafa Matos also.
You don't see somebody take a left-hand corner by passing on the right-hand side of another competitor too often like that.
Up at the top, you're seeing the running order, and the other number is the number of overtakes remaining. And we have reached the halfway point of this event.
So this is really a good visual of these long sweeping corners. Look at this, 2 and 3. They're in the corner. They're in the corner. This is where you're pulling these high G's, and it really is a physical racetrack. And now you're up through the gearbox all the way 150 miles an hour to turn 5.
Wow,
more cars.
This. Let's watch this group of competitors. Here's Graham Rahal.
Oh, Nicky Muto gets off.
Keep it straight. Keep it straight. No problem. And that Sato that we saw behind Graham Rahal in that yellow car, he's rejoined.
Right.
So they fixed that problem.
Unfortunately, 22 laps down, but you can learn a lot.
Yeah. Did you guys see EJ come up on the back of Danica there?
Yeah.
You know, as you mentioned earlier, Jan, I mean, he's trying to force it. He just wants one little hiccup there so it opens the door for him to get by.
2 of the 3 KV cars running nose to tail. Viso and Marias 18th and 19th. Here is the replay once again.
He went to turn in and he missed the apex by 3 feet.
Yeah. and mind you how simple and safe that all looks. That's flat out 4th gear. There. So a little bug say, you pass me, I'll come back at you.
That's the pass repass there. That was nice.
But when we just saw Hideki come back to that, we just saw him kind of ease it off the track and come back on, and he missed his point. That's in 4th gear at about 125 miles an hour. I mean, that little fast switchback in 9-10. Just, we lose perspective when we're just sitting here watching that, how fast it's all happening.
Yep. There are the 3 cars from KV Racing Technology, 18th, 19th, and Takuma Sato back on track, running in 25th spot.
Danica in that battle has been a favorite of the overtake button. She only has 7 left. She's been pow, pow, pow. She's getting after it in this group.
I'm amazed that the overtake button is really giving you that much to protect something or to give you that little bit of edge, which is fantastic. Because, you know, back in the original days with the push-to-pass button, as you're saying, with the Champ Car stuff, it was up to 50 horsepower was the differentiation, right?
Yeah. Now with this 9, this series is so close together. A 9 horsepower and a little extra RPM is working here, even on these shorter straightaways.
Yeah, we didn't think that.
Simona Di Silvestro is in 5th spot, about 27 seconds behind the leader, but having a very good run here on this course. She's finished 16th in the first 2 races of 2010 at Brazil and in St. Petersburg, but she has run very well.
And we saw her lead in Brazil, and she was running very strong in St. Pete, but got spun out there in turn 1.
Well, led 2 laps in Brazil, as a matter of fact. Marco Andretti leads, but we expect a pit stop from him shortly. Right behind him is Elio, and 3rd is Dixon. George Barber, the owner of Barber Motorsports Park, has given us a great racetrack, and he's also given us some very unusual sculptures around the course. There's the man drowning in the wheel. But the fans have turned out in large numbers for this inaugural event here at Barber Motorsports Park, one that I hope we will return to time and time again. All right, let's check on some of our up front people. Here's Will Power, who is currently in 6th position, and he has the IZOD fastest lap of the race to this point.
You also notice the stat there, 60% or 66% of the lap is over 1G. Now, the definition of 1G would be if you had a hot street car with great tires, you might be able to get 1G on a skid pad. 66% of this lap, you're over 1G, whether cornering, braking, through the seat, through a compression. That is a lot of force. And right in through here is one of the places where the combination of G's is over 5. Right here, through the seat and to the side, 3 places on the racetrack, you pull over 5 G's.
Boy, he looks very settled in that cockpit. He is, you know, just relative to how we've seen other guys really fight the wheel. He's going in turn 1 here down to 5th gear. Just watch him turn the wheel in. You know, he's working it a little bit, but he's just got it hooked up. He's smooth, yeah.
1st and 2nd. Very close together on the track, Marco and Elio.
So we haven't seen Elio try to go by him.
Nope.
And Michael Cannon talking to her right now, and I'll tell you a little bit about what they're talking about. It's fuel strategy. Michael, I know you just got through talking to Simona. It's a fuel strategy game for you right now, isn't it?
It is very much so. I mean, we're going to try and do it in 2. We're still 2 laps short. We need a little bit of yellow.
I've never heard anybody talk quite so eloquently, I can't even get it out, as as a rookie that she is, it's amazing how she communicates.
That's our ace in the hall. She's remarkably good for a rookie. That's what's seen us do as well as we have this early on in her career.
She's a rookie in the Indycar series, but she almost won a championship in Formula BMW as well as the Atlantic series there. So she's no rookie to racing, and it's showing it today. Great communication between this team. After all, she does know 5 different languages.
Yeah, all right. Well, let's look at this here. Is Elio going to make a move? Look to the inside,
but the one thing he can do when he really is that able to stay behind Marco, he can save fuel, use that draft. You know, he can ease back off the throttle and just pace off that. So since Elio is the only one car that went 31 laps on their first conditions, we just heard from Mike Cannon and Simona. She did 30, so no one's done as many as that guy right there, Elio number 3. So if somebody could pull off that whole idea of just a 2-stop strategy, he'd be the one.
Yes,
I think.
But Michael Cannon said, as we both believe, that he needs help. I still think Elio needs help.
You know what I love about you, Jan?
I don't give up.
You make a commitment and you stick with it.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, that's the word that every driver's used around this track is commitment. If you want to be fast and good around here, you need commitment. Jan's just taking it from a different perspective up here in the booth.
Well, you don't want to waffle, like you said. You gotta make your picks.
Right now, Marco knows Elio's back there, but he also knows that Elio's not going to do anything stupid and do a dive bomb pass. You know, if Elio's going to do something, he's going to do it clean, or Marco's going to really sense that Marco's made a mistake, and he'll say, oh, I messed that up. I better just give that to Elio, and I'll get back behind him. So nothing crazy is going to happen between these guys. Right now, they know there's still plenty of racing left. And we're thinking Marco is probably about 4 laps away from being in.
3 to 4 laps is what I would say for Marco.
Justin Wilson has just made the fastest lap of the race. He is currently in 10th position, showing the charter on the side pods this weekend for Dreyer and Reinbold Racing. Running in 10th position, he just passed Alex Lloyd to go into the top 10. He started 11th, so he's moved up 1 position, and here is the way he got the 10th spot. Down in turn number 5, the best passing zone on the whole racetrack, and a very clean pass of Alex Lloyd.
Alex was kind of thinking, I'm going to come back at you. But that's good to see with Justin. He's on the red sidewalls, and, what we saw from him when they went to the red sidewalls just in the qualifying, he kind of lost the balance of the race car a little bit and a little bit of speed. But right now, he must like what he's getting from those tires, setting the fastest lap.
55 out of 90 laps in the books at Barber Motorsports Park. Marco Andretti leads. 54 races since he was in victory lane. And Marco Andretti currently leads the Indy Grand Prix of Alabama, presented by Legacy Credit Union.
He should be close to pit stop. If he goes too much longer.
There he
goes. I was like, you went too much longer. I'd start getting worried. So that's right on schedule, what we thought.
And really, guys, I just have this feeling they're just trying to get it over with. Kyle Moyer says bring him in, where I thought they were going to wait another lap or 2. But I think they're getting it over with. A Breaststead, a Firestone Firehawks are going to go on. And, of course, they're going to dump as much fuel as they can possibly get into this, Delara. All is clean and clear. Now he's just hoping that some yellows come out, and maybe, just maybe, he can make it to the end of the race.
Well, Jan, you and I both think it's more than just 1 or 2 laps of yellow that he's going to need there to get to the end of the race. But that can happen.
Notice there on the pointer, you saw his pit exit speed. The limit is 50, and he was right at 49 and 50 miles an hour.
50 is okay. 51, you're serving a penalty. There's no No wiggle room.
And it's a pretty neat deal. All it is a button on the steering wheel that you press that button. It keeps the car at that speed. But when you come into pit road, it's the driver's responsibility to get it down to that 50-mile-an-hour mark. You can't just press the button and it does the work for you. You got to get it to 50, but then the button keeps it there.
Elio has not been out of the top 3 since the green flag dropped at this race. He has led 7 laps. Marco Andretti has led 38. Will Power 12, and Elio has now led 8 laps.
And Elio's in a good position right now. He wants to lay down as fast as laps as he can, because he definitely was being held up by Marco. So now is the chance to lay down some fast laps, give yourself a little bit of cushion on where he was to Marco earlier. So what he's trying to do is, when he comes into the pits, he wants to come out ahead of Marco. But he's got some traffic up ahead of him, and that could flip-flop that whole deal of trying to make that position up on Marco. Does that make sense? You with me on that?
I'm with you.
Okay.
I'm definitely with you. Great look there at Graham Rahal, who has been struggling this weekend to find the kind of setup and the speed that he wants. He says, we never gave up, but boy, we've thrown everything at this car. We can't quite make it into my comfort zone.
And he will go at least one more race for Sarah.
Oh, here's a good battle. I think Wilson's going to go for it.
That's Ryan Briscoe.
Oh, he is all over him.
Conway.
Yep. Andy Silvestro.
Ooh, look at that. A little bit of kind of fisticuffs, if you will, a little bit with Kanaan and Conway.
Oh, another sandwich.
Gosh.
And Viso has spun, but we'll keep going.
Back underway. That's in turn 5. But boy, that's a quick split. 130 miles an hour. They did that with Milkaduno, Conway, and Kanaan. Woo.
Elio completes another pit stop, Dario completes a pit stop.
Which should put him a lap or 2 short.
Yep.
So again, we focus back on Castro Neves. He needs to go another lap or 2 for that strategy to work. If he can make
that's exactly what they're trying to coax out of Elio Castro Neves right now. They also told him that at this point in time, what he needs to do is use the overtake button if it can gain him some advantage over Scott Dixon. The magic number for them is 60. To be comfortable, they'd like to come in on 61.
Well, if he can do it.
Good.
And isn't that interesting? I'm saying, hey, he's got to go as fast as he can and use the overtake button just to where he cycles out with Marco. But you got to save fuel. You got to get to lap 61.
Rafael Matos made a pit stop, and here is Scott Dixon making a pit stop. And the Target Chip Ganassi driver goes back out there. That's Andretti coming down the front stretch.
Look at that position on Dixon.
Pretty good gap there. He's got no one in front of him, Jan. He wants to get busy and get after it because he knows the guy he was racing with, Elio, is going to be cycling through the pit box, and he doesn't want to give that position up with whatever's going to transpire on pit road between the 2 teams.
But it'll only take one more. Oh, he's on pit lane. He's right on the verge of being able to make this.
Lap 61.
Gets rid of a tear off as he heads for the pit box.
Yeah, for a couple laps, they've been telling Elio, as soon as you hit traffic, get in here. Here he goes at 8.7. He's out. We need to see Bob. Is he going to get out of here before Marco Andretti passes?
Oh, Marco's going to go.
So, but there's 2 different strategies at play in that Marco most most likely will have to stop without yellow, and now it doesn't appear as though they were telling us the truth, that they are trying to make that the last stop for Castro Neves.
And there's Briscoe.
Ryan Briscoe is on pit lane. Third member of Team Penske. He switches from reds to blacks.
And new ones.
And away he goes.
So what I love right here, Helio Castroneves with the orange mirrors. He's back out behind Marco, so he can pace off of Marco.
Here are the two DNR guys working together.
That makes you a bit nervous, huh?
Yeah, you know, they can have a spirited battle, but don't cut each other up.
Right.
You know, have it be friendly. They're Englishmen. But Justin's, when he's sneaking his nose out as you're going into turn 12 there at 160 miles an hour, don't make the move there. Whoa, do you see Justin's car just get a little bit loose? That rear end trail around as he comes through there.
That's seventh place.
Yeah, 7th and 8th. Conway started on the front row.
Yeah, and now the best place to pass is
coming right up here.
Yep, over 4. There's the crest. Set him up, and Mike's protecting it a little bit.
Yep, it's gonna get away.
Highlighted in green, he used the overtake. You just saw it go down to 11 from 12. That was
spirited.
Spirited. Yep, exactly what you wanted, Robbie.
Now, good job.
Wilson to 7th position. Andretti leads this race here at Barber Motorsports Park. Stay with us for more in a moment. Will Power relinquished 4th position just a few minutes ago to make this pit stop. It was very clean, very fast. Will back out there in good shape, but he did drop down to 8th position. So as we enter the final few laps of this race, Will Power right now, after his final pit stop, is in 8th position. Here are the top 5 with 64 laps completed. Marco Andretti, Helio Castroneves. Scott Dixon is 3rd, Dario Franchitti 4th, and Tony Kanaan 5th. The Eyes on Indycar Series is back on the streets of Long Beach. Saturday, we'll have qualifying at 6 o'clock Eastern. And join us a week from today at 3:30 Eastern for the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach, only on Versus. We go from the deep south to the far west in 1 week. Join us for all the action from Long Beach next weekend. A couple of laps ago, Milka Duno had an off-track excursion. Let's take a look at it here. Yeah, missed the corner, went into the grass. Now, Kyle Moyer, who calls the race for Marco Andretti, they need a caution. They were hoping for a full course caution, but they did not get it.
Crash. And then why he needs that yellow, it looks as though they're about 5 laps short, maybe 4 laps short of under green conditions, so they need that help.
And fellas, here's the way it works. Yes, Michael really needs that. Now, that gives him both the good and the bad as the leader, because they know they're going to have to pit so they can try and go a little faster, add some separation. Now, as I'm analyzing this stuff, I'm looking at Helio Castroneves, and with the fact that he pitted by lap 61, that's all well and good. If Helio can stay pat, make fuel, be conservative. But you want a sleeper? Take a look and let's watch for a little while the Iceman himself, the guy running in 3rd. Scott Dixon pitted on lap 30, pitted again on lap 60. Hey, Robbie Floyd, it's a possibility that when this is all said and done, the tortoise may beat the hare, and it may very well be Scott Dixon.
It may very well happen. And the communication between driver and crew chief, man on the box is Mike Hull. And Scott keeps asking throughout the race, what number do I need? What number do I hit? Mike says, we work on that since the very first lap. So you have a lot of computers up on this deck, just plugging away. And Mike keeps hitting with a certain number. But Scott also, with all this going on out there on the racetrack, he still keeps asking for a specific number that he's trying to hit.
And guys, that's where Mike Hull says that Dixon is.
Oh, swim. And that is Alex Lloyd in the Boy Scouts of America car.
Kyle Moyer again is like, crash.
Yeah, watch that car running. That car should stall.
Almost collected Sato there when he spun. Take a look at it once again. Ooh, Danica
Howie
bumped into the side of Lloyd, and watch Sato. Ooh, brakes.
Yeah.
Nice.
Like we said there's some beef to these cars. You know, Danica got her wheel right in there and just kind of pushed Alex over the side.
Danica's running 16th, by the way. So Kyle almost got the full course caution, but nope, we remain green.
Hey, fellas, remember we were talking about the beef on these cars? You got to remember, when they were first designed, this was a predominantly oval series. And you guys have driven these cars, driven Indy cars. You know when you run on ovals, they've got to be, well, not fat, but they got to be big boned, right? Well, now, when we've transitioned over to some of the road courses, they're not as fragile as some of their cousins that were designed originally just for road courses and then kind of evolved into street course and road course racing.
Andretti Autosport with 4 cars this year. Andretti is the best, and Danica Patrick is back in the 16th position. So Marco Andretti continues to lead, but by just a scant margin over Helio Castroneves, who we think will be able to go to the rest of the way without a fuel stop. Stay with us. Coverage of the Indy Grand Prix of Alabama from Barber Motorsports Park. On Versus, the leader is Marco Andretti right there in 26. Right behind him, the second place car of Helio Castroneves. Dixon is third, then Franchitti and Will Power, who is going for his 3rd win of the in a row. However, he has not led since quite a few laps ago. He led a total of 12 laps. Marco Andretti has been, for the most part, the man up front. 19 laps to go on this 2.3-mile course.
So I was saying earlier when we were talking about Dixon and kind of the guy we forgot about in this, sitting in that 3rd position, Mike Hull, his strategist, says that Scott is so good at taking, you know, give him numbers, and he does it. He can produce it. He'll hit it. You don't have to massage it. Tell it to him, and he can do it. Pretty high praise.
Yeah. The last race of 2009 at Homestead Miami Speedway, we ran without a caution, and we've only had 1 caution here in our first race on U.S. soil in 2010. And so the race is moving along very, very quickly. We've only got 18 more laps to go in this event. 17 cars still on the lead lap.
So this is going to be interesting how this shakes it up here. We got that lead pack. There's Marco in the red and black car chasing down Graham, being pressured by Helio. How are they going to carve their way through here?
Very careful.
But does Marco be aggressive and gap it, and then he's got Graham between him and Helio, and then, having said that, then he's got other cars in front of him. So it's going to be a good last 15 laps.
Well, Helio's been telling strategist Tim Cindric, every time I get too close to Marco, I'm just losing all my clean air. I can't go around him. And Cindric is saying, be sure if you can hit that overtake, if you get a good run, then do it. And he's also saying, we can go the distance here. There is absolutely no way that Marco can get to the end without a yellow. And we saw that earlier on Kyle Moyer's face, guys.
And that is indeed the case. He will not have to make a pit stop if we stay green. If is a big word right now. You won't miss a thing in IndyCar nonstop on Versus. The professional bull riders continue to kick up the dirt in Nampa. The PBR continues tonight at 9 Eastern, right here on Versus. On Versus right now, the Izod IndyCar Series. We're on board with Alex Tagliani, who is in 10th position, has had a good run for this fast team, a new one this year in the Izod IndyCar Series. We met the principal owner of the team, Andre Ozzie, yesterday, had a good conversation with him, and I look for good things from this team all year long.
No question about it. I mean, starting on the front row in Brazil, what a great way to kick things off with a new team, and it's just been carrying over.
And Andre is very excited about flying the Canadian colors, saying they really need to have a strong Canadian team. He'd like to bring it back to the days of the players team in the series, and says that's really what my goal is. Remember, they did not test here, so the fact that he's running in the top 10 for not having participated in the test, wow, that's something else.
Yep. And Jan, you're watching the leader as he continues to try and work over Graham Rahal in that yellow car. Here's what I think's happening. Marco has accepted the fact that he has got to make another pit stop. It's going to be a time stop just for fuel. What he's trying to do, as you guys were alluding to, is put some of those slower cars between himself and Helio Castroneves. And, you know, it's really going to be interesting. If he doesn't do it pretty soon, he's going to run out of overtakes. Look at Marco has begun to use these overtakes, and the ratio is 14 for Castroneves. He hasn't used any lately. Marco has been hitting that button. What does he want to do? He's only got a half-second lead over Helio. He can get by these cars. Maybe it could be a 1 or a 2-second lead, and then maybe the splash and go would get him really, really close. This is a nail-biter.
And maybe
strategies.
You know, Jack, when we're watching, it doesn't look like Marco's really gotten close enough to Graham to really make a good, clean pass. And maybe it's the same thing we just heard by Helio. Anytime he gets closer to the back end of that car, it just starts washing out. So he's really struggling to get close enough to make that opportunity to pounce and have a good pass.
As you guys know, all the drivers talked about how great this racetrack was, but you had a lot of side drift. You had a lot of, not wheel spin, but that's why you've got all those G-forces that you're involved in all the time. So what even Helio said to me yesterday, he says it's a fun racetrack to drive, but you are right on the edge all the time.
Fitness is also going to play at this stage of the race when you've had this much green and you're getting towards the end. This is a racetrack, Robbie, as you said earlier, can wear you out, and there could be a few people who start getting, as we say, falling out of the seat somewhat, losing some concentration.
Because you start breaking down physically, and that hurts you in the mental game. Excellent point with all the green running, because I didn't anticipate this much green running. I would have thought we would have had another car off in the pea gravel somewhere.
Me too.
Prior to you know, having 13 laps to go in this.
Been a very, very clean race, as I said. Only
excellent race.
One caution, yeah, that was for a stalled car.
And it's worth reviewing that of the people that are up front, we assume that Andretti, who is obviously leading, Franchitti is touch and go in 4th place. In 5th, Power is good to go. So there is still a very likely shifting of the top 5 before this thing is
Dixon.
over.
Don't forget Dixon as well.
Yes, Dixon, I believe, should be able to hang with Castroneves just by his history in making fuel.
Battle for 8th position. We're on board with Tony Kanaan looking back on Justin Wilson. Mentioned a few minutes ago, this was our first telecast on U.S. soil. It is, of course, the second race on U.S. soil for the Eyes on Indycar series, with our buddies at ESPN on ABC having coverage of the St. Petersburg Grand Prix.
How do you not just love looking out the back of that? When we were looking earlier back out of Turf 5, you look back at Justin Wilson just trying to put power down. The rear of the car is just kind of squirming in second gear coming off there. We've seen that with everybody. That's not just Justin. That's every one of these guys are working their tail off to get that power down. Every time we've had a camera shot looking backwards like this. Still don't feel like I'm on the roller coaster elevation ride that's really out there when I'm on board.
I know.
It's not.
You just can't get the feeling, yeah.
of how blind some of the stuff is, and really what the elevation change is.
I'm with Kyle Moyer. Kyle, the look on your face not so good. Where are you sitting right now? Because the guys were guessing you might get by Graham and maybe help yourself out that way, and Castroneves have to fight through it.
Yeah, we need more than 3 seconds on the track. We need 3 laps of yellow, and it's my mistake. I mean, Marco's driving really good here, and I got caught out not doing the fuel-saving mode early in the race, and you know, you can blame this one on me right now unless we get a yellow.
Anything can happen. This is the Eyes on IndyCar series. He's looking for yellow, but right now all green with 78 laps for this 90-lap race complete.
And it takes a real man to admit to what he just did.
And when you're wrong, which is me.
Yeah. But
thank you. Thank you, Jan. Hey, we're going to take another break, and so we can have the last 10 laps without interruption. This thing is far from over here at Barber Motorsports Park. All right, we're back to settle this thing here, and a lot of traffic out there.
How did Conway get through there? I covered my eyes. You yelled, I covered my eyes.
That's Tony Kanaan running in 7th. Then Wilson, then Conway, 7th, 8th, and 9th. It has been 24 laps since Marco pitted, and we heard Kyle say that he has a need for a pit stop relatively quickly here, which means that if he does pit, we're going to have a battle, it would seem, between Elio and Scott Dixon, who are currently running 2nd and 3rd and very close to each other on the racetrack.
And right behind Dixon, position-wise, is Franchitti, who stopped a lap earlier
and
than
here he
Dixon.
comes.
Oh, so
Marco is on pit lane. Too bad that he has to relinquish the lead. He has led 58 laps of this thing, but he is in for a needed splash of fuel, Robbie.
Well, no need for tires, just a splash and go. He's saying, I want you wide open coming in. Now dumping. Hopefully he doesn't lose too much time. Unfortunate. Kyle took it upon himself, and he's feeling it now as much as Marco Andretti is.
And he's going to come out, however, with a relatively clean racetrack ahead of him.
And, you know, we saw Kyle say, hey, take this one on me, but, you know, you got to be aggressive on the pit stands.
A shout out to Graham Rahal in the Sarah Fisher car. Right now, he is going a lap down, but he has stayed on the lead lap all race long.
And that was Elio on the overtake button. That was off of turn 5, and he used that overtake button and gapped Rahal.
And here comes Dixon.
Oh. He didn't want it to be that easy for Dixon to get by Rahal, that's for sure.
3rd place, Dario Franchitti, is about 10 seconds behind these two, so it would appear to be a battle to the finish between Elio and Dixon.
you mentioned Franchitti. Again, he stopped a lap earlier than Dixon, so he may also need a splash. Behind him in 4th place, Power, we know he doesn't. He pitted much later.
We're just on board right there with Dixon, and you want to talk about back steering and working this wheel. And, you know, we talked about how physical this racetrack is. When you see you're having to catch the wheel just like that all day long, you're working hard. It's a drain on you physically. Then mentally, you got to be sharp.
Mike Hall looking at his driver, Scott Dixon. Rafa Matos up front.
Sawing on that wheel as he's putting the power down, isn't he? Yeah. Man.
Typically, when you're letting cars come through, when you're a lapped car, you want to try to treat everyone equally. So if you let the car like Castroneves ahead fairly easily, you want to try to give that opportunity so that you're not impeding. So Matos here will certainly want to try to be consistent in how he's letting these front guys go through.
Because what goes around comes around.
Justin Wilson moves up to 7th position. Tony back to 8th.
There you go.
And right there in turn number 5 is where the pass occurred.
Nice and clean.
Wilson, Kanaan, and Conway, 7th, 8th, and 9th. And some battling going on here.
Oh, you saw that Dixon did get by Rafa Matos. So now there are no cars between he and Castroneves, but he definitely lost time.
And in order to do that, Scott Dixon used one of those overtakes because he saw what happened there. Needs to make some time.
We understand that race control asked for a courtesy from Rafa Matos, which was quickly given. All 3 of the Penske cars are in the top 6. Verizon Team Penske with Will Power is 4th. Briscoe and Castroneves are 6th and 1st, respectively.
And Danica Patrick pulls in for her pit stop. I was here just a moment ago, and Scott Dixon was not happy at all with Rafael Matos, and evidently the officials had something to say about that. But Mike Hull again said, Scott, just worry about Elio, trying to calm him down. So I guess just fuel strategy is not everything that they're concerned about. I think Scott still wants to win this thing, Jack.
And Di Silvestro may have stalled here to the point of causing a caution. Full course caution. She needs to take lessons from Jan Beekes as to how to get the thing in reverse and keep the car running, first of all. Still only a local yellow. Less than 5 laps to go in this one. And the interval is opened up between first and second. Here's the replay. Dan Weldon's car. Full course caution.
On the brakes in. Rotated around.
Well, with this being full course yellow now,
that helps Franchitti.
It helps Franchitti, but it also brings Dixon right on the back of Elio, and he's got no issues. We were kind of saying, hey, Dixon was going to have to really conserve it, but that all goes away. And the other guy who we know is really the fastest guy around here is Will Power, sitting back there in that 4th spot.
And what would the mindset be of Marco Andretti, who has led the most number of laps and is 5th and isn't going to be too far behind either?
Let me take you all back to the start at St. Petersburg. Remember Marco Andretti carving himself like a hot knife through butter on the drop of the green flag? He has 8 overtakes left. He now has the fuel that he needs. Everybody else in front of him now can breathe a sigh of relief. But this kid right now is sitting there saying, let's go back to green, and I'm going to get me some spots.
Yep. This is going to be a great finish. Helio Castroneves last won at Texas last year, 14 races ago.
You know, and a good call for Marco to come in and realize early on, they said, hey, we got to come in for fuel. I mean, if they would have waited and this yellow came out and they did it under this yellow, then they would have probably just cycled to the back anyhow. So really how they did play that out, Kyle saying, you know what, we don't have enough fuel. Kyle Moya, that is, come in now, let's get you back out. Just a quick fuel splash and go, and off you go.
There are going to be some lap cars that are between Andretti and the front of the field besides the 4 ahead of him in the scoring.
Remember me talking about overtake? Originally, the idea was to give you the added horsepower to be able to go faster and pass a car. Now, if you're Castroneves, you start to look at the 10 overtakes that you have left as a defensive maneuver. Yep. If you're Scott Dixon, I think, and you see Will Power in your mirror and Marco Andretti, you do likewise. So I think this is going to be interesting. I'm going to really monitor these overtakes right now and see where and how they're used once we go back to green.
I'm really amazed at what a great tool that, again, as we said earlier, that overtake button only being the small horsepower percentage it is, but it just gives you just that little bit you need that we've seen.
Okay, guys, how about some predictions here? Jan?
Castroneves, I think, had everything go his way, and unless Scott Dixon has been really saving something that we haven't seen yet, I think that under these circumstances, Castroneves can drive away.
Shorty?
Well, thank you. Well, between you and I earlier, I thought I liked what Dixon was, so I'll just stay with Dixon.
Okay, yeah,
you know, I won't be fair weather guy here like the right of me, Jan.
Yeah.
You know.
We predicted for the start of the race who was going to win, and I picked Elio, and so did Robbie, right?
No, I went with Dixon just to separate.
Right, so, yeah.
And you had Power, if I remember, Bob.
I did not.
No, you did. You did, Mr. Jan.
Oh, how did I forget that?
Yeah, right.
Oh, dear. Medics,
yeah.
Come on in.
We're going to have a talk with him.
He said that with such a straight face, too. It really concerned me.
It caused me to think a minute there. Okay. Well, the pace car's pulling off. Hey,
okay.
We're ready to go back to racing.
Jack, watch those overtake hits.
You got it.
Just 2 laps to go when they hit the line. checkered. Here they come off corner 15. And the Apex Brazil restart. Green flag comes out. Let's see who wins at Barber.
Both Elio and Dixon are on the button, guys.
We got, I'm trying to pick up power back here in this queue. I know there's some other lap cars there. Just trying to ID him.
Hey, Dixon's back on the button again. He's down to 14. Elio Castroneves sees in the rearview mirror. He hits the button again. Offense met with defense.
Doesn't seem to have anything for Elio, though.
He got time. He's got time. But you sure would be like to be right up on his gearbox, just letting you know I am gonna pounce when I can set it up just perfect.
White flag is coming out. One more lap to go. There's Dario back in third position, and Will Power right behind him.
Yeah, there's the podium spot right there. This is, I think, the battle,
and he can do it.
It's going to play out.
Yep. Okay, this is where we've seen all the passes. He should stay to the left.
He's on the overtake. They both are on the overtake.
Oh, looking to the inside in 5.
That might have been his last chance.
I don't. But with the traffic in front of him, it may just. You know, Franchitti just may have to dump the throttle once, and then he can get in there.
All right, it looks like that the win streak is broken. He has just a few more feet to go through turns 11 and 12. Will Power's streak at 2 wins in a row is over. Elio Castroneves, through largely pit strategy, wins the Indy Grand Prix of Alabama here at Barber Motorsports Park. Don't forget, he goes for his 4th win at Indianapolis in May. And here is Will Power, who finishes in 4th position after winning the first 2 races of 2010. It's Elio's first win since Texas last year, his 17th victory in the Izod Indycar Series, and his 23rd win in major open wheel competition, moving him into a tie with Dario Franchitti for 14th on the all-time list. Elio Castroneves wins here in Alabama. We'll be back in just a moment on Versus. The Indycar Grand Prix of Alabama, presented by Legacy Credit Union, is history. And the Spider-Man wins. And in winning tradition, he jumped out of the car and went to the fences. As the crowd came from the hillsides down to the fence to congratulate him and salute his victory, Elio Castroneves is back. Here's how it went just a few moments ago as he climbed the fence.
What a great feeling to know, coming here uncertain if they could break that streak of willpower, climbing the fence, to the congratulations of the fans.
Let's go down to Robbie Floyd, who's with 2nd place. Scott
Dixon finishing 2nd place. A fuel strategy race, but it almost paid off. You were still trying to be aggressive towards the end.
Yeah, it was tough to, kind of monitor what you need to do. You obviously need a pace and you need to save fuel, but I think the officials screwed us at the start. You know, we didn't pass Elio. I passed him on the outside into one. I'd tried to on the inside going into one, got beside him again, back behind and past him, and then they still called me to go back behind Marco. So I don't know where that came from, and I think that was a pretty bad decision. So a good day for Team Target all in all, you know, a second and third. But I think we could have, you know, it was all about track position today, and if we'd been ahead of Elio, I think we could have stayed there.
It was much better than St. Pete, and I know you were trying to be aggressive there towards the end, angry with the back markers. You weren't trying to settle with just trying to hit that 3 miles a gallon or whatever.
Yeah, you know, that was the hard thing. You got the team, you know, in your ear saying that, you know, you got to save fuel, but all in all, you got to try and push. But got to say hi to my wife Emma and Poppy back in England watching too, and her family and my family back in New Zealand. So thank you.
I know you wanted to win, but Target Chip Ganassi car number 9 Scott Dixon takes second place here in Alabama.
After an 18th place finish at St. Petersburg, the runner-up today is Scott Dixon. The winner is Elio Castroneves. We'll talk with him when we come back on Versus. We just saluted Scott Dixon as the second place finisher. Not only that, but he wins our Firestone Pit Performer of the afternoon. The crew with a total time of 56.5 seconds. Good work, guys. And now Izod salutes a winning performance with Izod Victory Lane. Here's Lindy with Elio.
And Elio with his 17th career win. You step up out of the car, you say, where's my baby? Where's my baby? Is it any different as a dad?
I think so. I think so, because I want her to share this moment with me. And I want it sooner than later. And she's certainly here. Incredible job for everyone. Team Penske did a hell of a job, you know. So far, we keep going and working together. Will definitely was the car to beat. But again, this place was about strategy, and we were able to learn a lot from St. Pete and Brazil and execute this today. So I'm so happy. This is unbelievable. Great for 2010. We're just starting. This is just fantastic. Well done, everyone. RP, guys in the shop, you guys did a hell of a job. Everybody working. Fantastic. Woohoo! Let's keep going.
You probably felt pretty comfortable once Marco had to pit, but once there was the caution, you were going to have to restart. How did you feel then?
The biggest challenge was you couldn't. First of all, I did have a car, but you can't pass because the turbulence here was so difficult, and you were just trying. You don't want to make a mistake either. So it was one of those things that. What do I do? What do I do? And I knew that I have to save fuel. I knew if being smart would pay off. Finally, for the first time, drivers normally they don't think. This is the first time I did it. So just want to say hello to Rick Reineman, that is right there in the shop. He's part of this team. Buddy, well done too, man. You're part of this team. Woo!
And you go from 6th to 2nd in points. You catching up with your teammate Will now?
Oh, man. Wow, this is the good news. I didn't know that. Still a long way to go. Certainly, I take it, obviously. I take it every chip. We kind of like chip it away. But this group, hell of a job. This guy is incredible. They deserve it. Let's keep working. It's still a lot more to go.
And Indy's coming up, reigning champ there. Elio Castroneves, his first win as a dad. Robbie?
I'm feeling for Marco Andretti, just like I felt for Kyle Moyer out there while he's watching you go around the track. The yellows just never came out. How much was that killing you while you were at the wheel?
Well, I mean, yeah, kind of each time he just went longer than me, and that was the difference in the last stop. So he was able to go, you know, that much more, and we fell a bit short. It would have been close with that last yellow, so a little disappointing.
Car-wise, everything looks like it may be coming together. You've been happy all week, and a good finish here nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, we have to be happy. I mean, you know, to put this thing in the top 5 after our disaster on the road courses last year. So, you know, we just keep marching forward.
Heading to Long Beach, do you have anything to say to Tony? You still working, looking forward to next week as well here on Versus?
To Tony? No, yeah. I mean, we're working, the 4 of us together to keep trying to improve these race cars. I mean, we're still a little bit, you know, off as far as pace goes. So, you know, here, you know, I was looking a bit stronger than maybe I would have anywhere else, just because it's tough to overtake, you know. So it was easier for me to control the race, but oh well, on the Long Beach.
Tell me about that pass. Walk me through it. That was incredible.
Well, I knew I had to do it, you know, before his tire temps came up. You know, I knew all weekend we were stronger than them coming up to speed, so I knew I had to get it done early, so we just kind of went for it. You know, I was on my push to pass. We were able to get off of turn 2 good, and made it happen.
Marco Andretti won first, finished 5th here today.
And it's his first top 5 since Watkins Glen last year, where he finished in 5th position. The race has been run. Elio Castroneves wins over Scott Dixon, and the final margin of victory, 57/100ths of a second. shot of Barber Motorsports Park, where we ran the Indy Grand Prix of Alabama today. That was won by Helio Castroneves on some fuel strategy. Take a look at the complete results. We'll tell you that 13 cars were on the lead lap at the drop of the checkered flag. The average speed of the race, 106.436 miles an hour. There were only 2 caution periods for 5 laps, and we had 3 leaders, 7 lead changes. Marco Andretti led the most laps at 58. Castroneves led 20, and Will Power led 12 of the laps. Down to Lindy Thaxton.
And Will Power, talk about how traffic really affected your race today.
Yeah, I think it affected everyone, but it's just really happy for the Verizon guys to ended up 4th. That's still good points, and we anticipated it being a real tough race. And just like I said before, if there's a yellow falls at the wrong time, it can really help, some of the people back there in the pack. And, I guess we sort of made a wrong call there. We didn't anticipate people being so slow back in the pack, but, we finished 4th, and we're actually happy with that.
Yeah, you had said before the race that if you knew you couldn't win, the key was really for you to just stay out of trouble.
Yeah, exactly. You just got to, execute every race best you can. Some days the yellows will work for you, and some days they won't, so there's no use in complaining about it because, maybe in Brazil it helped us. So yeah, I'm not complaining. Happy with 4th.
And you're still the points leader. Helio went from 6th up to 2nd, so it's getting kind of tight there in Team Penske, huh?
Yeah, man. I mean, he's going to be tough to beat. He's learning all my tricks, saving that fuel. But yeah, good on him. He did a great job today, and so did Ryan. Yeah, it's good to see the Penske cars in the top 6.
Thank you, Will Power. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Let's take a look at the final word. The key moment in this race, well, I think it came back on lap 31 when Tim Cindric, who's the tactician for Helio Castroneves, called him into the pits. How puckered up were you?
Yeah, it was tough. The first decision you had to make is whether you're going to stay out on that caution or not. And, we decided to throw the dice and go on a 2-stop strategy today. And obviously it paid off, but it wasn't easy. Helio did a great job saving fuel all day long. And, on that first pit stop is the key to try and get to that lap 31 because we were able to go a couple laps further than Marco and one further than Dixon, which gave us a little bit of leeway the rest of the race because we knew at that point, as long as it stayed green, we were in the driver's seat.
A couple of years ago, you went off reservation at the end of the season trying to chase down for a championship with Helio. Yeah. What did that do to your tactics and strategy today?
Well, we're 11 years now, Helio and I, so we have a pretty good idea when to roll the dice and, when to play it conservative. And today was one of those days where we needed to win and it's time to roll the dice.
And it paid off big. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Guys?
Tim Cindric gets the final word, some final thoughts from Jan and Robbie.
Well, when you talk about the strategy and you heard Will Power say maybe we made the wrong call there, he didn't make the wrong call when you're the leader of the race and the leader in the championship. You have to take the easy money. But then you heard Tim Cindric say, we rolled the dice and it paid for us today. That's what's so interesting. When you're behind, you take chances, and today, those paid.
And you talk about rolling the dice. I did not think there was anybody that could even go for a 2-stop strategy. So when the green flag came, I didn't even think that was a scenario that guys were entertaining. So they made it work, but definitely caught me off guard. Whew.
It's been really fun coming here for the first time to see the Indy cars run. A beautiful facility, and as you saw, scattered throughout the hillsides and in the grandstands, back on the backstretch, a large crowd on hand. I think the Eyes on IndyCar Series has a big future here at Barber Motorsports Park, and certainly the rumors that we had heard about how it was going to be too narrow, there wasn't going to be any passing, it did many times give us some very good racing side by side and a lot of passing. But Helio Castroneves is the man of the day as he gets his first victory of 2010. Will he be able to do it again at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and win 4? We will be there with extensive coverage throughout the month of May, including qualifying and a 1-hour post-race show following the running of the 500. Cycling action is coming up next. Paris-Roubaix. Join us next Sunday at 3:30 Eastern for the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. Izod, the official apparel sponsor of the Izod IndyCar Series, available at Macy's. For more information on the Izod IndyCar Series, log on to Versus.com. Again, congratulations to our winner, Helio Castroneves. For Jan Beekes, Robbie Buell, Jack Arute, Robbie Floyd, and Lindy Thaxton, I'm Bob Jenkins. See you next weekend.